Welcome, spiritual family. Good morning as we gather here at Unity of Portland. And the here is a place in consciousness. It's a place of inner resilience where the presence and power of Spirit as you this day opens and expands and reminds you of the truth of your being and our being as we gather. So we set that intention right here in this beginning. And I just know that we are a spiritual community gathering in the wholeness of consciousness as us this day. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, Senior Minister here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, and we gather with this intention, with this knowing, and we look forward to welcoming all of you at some point in the future in person. But for now, as we find that place of anchoring in our homes and in our lives and in the sacredness of every moment, I want to welcome each of you, whether you're new to this community or you've been around for 50 years. Every one of you is a part of the consciousness that we create this morning. If you are new to Unity and you haven't signed up yet to be on our email newsletter, please do. You can go to our website, www.unityofportland.org, click Contact Us, and you can give us your name and your email so that we can share with you what's happening and the upcoming things. And there are a few things coming up. Our White Fragility class starts tomorrow. If you'd like to be a part of it, it'll be 6 to 8 p.m. with practitioner Amanda Kassab. You can just email administrator@unityofportland.org, and that class is powerful. It's being offered on a love offering basis, and the class will decide where that love offering goes. So it's a great opportunity. We want to thank you for the wonderful non-perishable food items you've been bringing in. We're going to go through next week, so through the 22nd of July, in accepting those donations for the transitional school. And we want to thank you for all of your donations, for your support has allowed us to continue this ministry and this movement and this consciousness, and what a blessing that is. And now as we begin to move into our music and our opening prayer and meditation, just remember that it's a time to anchor, it's a time to open, it's a time to remember the truth of our being.
And may we shine through every storm. May we shine through every storm.
As we take these ideas in, we relax our bodies. We still our minds, centering, anchoring, remembering this presence and power within us. This light of Spirit moves through us as we continue to relax into a greater opening. A deeper breath of Spirit. May all beings know love and peace. As we continue to focus on this sacred cycle of the breath, we allow those words to guide us. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all children be safe and warm. We open to a larger vision for humanity, for life. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth within me now, in the silence, in the silence. Again and again, as we open to a willingness to understand and to be an active part of a universe where all beings, all people, know love and peace, and all children are safe and warm. That awakening, that opening happens within us now. And we simply say yes to the movement of spirit, to life lived as us, and to the beauty of every breath, every step, every part of this journey. And so it is. Amen.
May all beings know love and peace. May all children be safe and warm. May forgiveness flow through every heart and soul, and may we shine through When I was a child each week, well, Sunday we would go to church. We'd pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word. He'd consecrate the holy bread. And everyone would kneel and pray. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything, everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen now. But now I can't keep track, 'cause I know everything is holy now. Yeah, yeah, everything, everything is holy now. Yeah, yeah. Wine from water is not so small. An even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. And holy water was a rare at best. It barely wet my fingertips. Well, now I have to hold my breath. I'm swimming in a sea of it. Well, it used to be a world half there, yeah. Second-rate hand-me-downs. Oh, now I'm walking with a reverend air. Why? Everything is holy now. 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 I know that everything is holy now. 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 Everything, everyone is holy now. Every day, it's all holy now. It's all holy now. I know that everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Reverend Sidney and Charlie Steen, what a beautiful, beautiful idea. Everything is holy now. Have we been living that way? How is your journey? You know, we are in the 4th week of a 7-week series. How then shall we live this sacred journey of life? Of right now, of a pandemic and an awakening and a coming to the surface of things that are uncomfortable. And so I love this idea, everything is holy now. I believe that when you and I and all of us begin to anchor in that, we find a larger way of living. We find a way of honoring the journey that we're on. I've heard so much talk about, can we just go back to what's normal? Can we just go back to where we were? Or I miss this or this, and that's okay because we all have these different ideas. But what about a recognition and an anchoring and an honoring that everything is holy now? Everything. All of the journeys we're going through, those that we want to be in and those that we don't. Now, we started this 7-week series, and you may or may not remember it, but you can go back and listen to it. We started it with simply the idea of the sacred self. Who am I? We get to ask that question, and I believe right now, no matter how many times we've asked ourselves that question, I believe we get to ask again. Not who was I, but who am I right now in the midst of this? Where's the part of the sacred self? But also, it's a time to look again and say, how am I showing up? Does this feel good? Are there things that I'm ready to let go of? Parts of me that have gotten snarky, or which you could ask my 18-year-old, or today is my oldest daughter's 21st birthday, and those ideas, it's like, where do I find who I am? Who am I in the midst of this? And then we went on to, of course, everyone's favorite, the sacred shadow. What comes up? What comes up in the everyday life? And then, of course, what comes up when there's change or there's movement or something happens? Where do we go? What do we do? And then last week you got to hear from Reverend Sidney this idea of sacred love. What do I love? And today we're going further with this idea of what do I love into sacred peace. Where's my peace? Where's my peace of mind? Have I allowed it to be a part of this journey? And so I want to look at this idea of what do I love? Gave every one of us an opportunity, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, to really say, what's precious to me along this journey? And life has taken away so many of the things. This universe has given us an absolute opportunity to peel away schedules and things that have attracted us before and caught our attention and allowed us not to focus on what's within. So I would invite you now to look again in your heart and say, what do I love and where is my peace? Because my intention for every one of us listening, that we find a peace that passes all understanding. A peace that recognizes, whoa, life is. Right now, I see life as this movement of spirit that is inviting all of humanity to look again at what's important, to look again at what they love, what's precious to them. Because I think instead of stuff, we might find that we're in the middle of change. We're in the middle of transformation. And what we love, ourselves, family, people, humanity. And I believe we love change. Let me put that back another way. We love transformation. Transforming humanity. And then we go, wait a minute though. If it's the way it was, then it's comfortable and it's known and it's easy. But instead, the universe says, here, let me help you. And so my invitation to every one of us is to say, I choose peace in the midst of this. I choose peace in the midst of movement, in the midst of an awakening that is saying humanity's ready for something more, in the midst of whatever is happening now. The Course in Miracles so often says, I can choose peace instead of this. And wherever we've been, I believe we get to open our hearts. Do you know, Wayne Muller, as he says, what do I love, talks about in his book, and my book, I chose to write it out because my book is actually falling apart and some of the pages are not staying in anymore. But he says, at times, rather than attend to those things we love, we give the bulk of our attention instead to things that bring us harm. We try to heal what has been hurt. We focus all our care upon things that are painful. Now, some of us may be doing that right now. Clearly, our wounds need our attention. They absolutely do. But when we concentrate exclusively upon our hurt, we learn to see the brokenness, the losses, or injuries we have been given as the most important things in our lives. Right now, it would be so easy to do that. We have to acknowledge them. We have to be present with them. But they are not who we are. And we do not have to live in that drama of I am and then add woundedness. Instead, we get to say, whoa, these are wounds. And in my consciousness of recognizing that we're in a movement of spirit, we're in a movement and an opening for all of humanity, I stand for that change as a center of spirit. And Wayne goes on to say, we cultivate an attention to these wounds in such a way that over time they come to occupy the most important place in our heart. Our wounds live in the center of our thoughts. In this way, we actually come to love our suffering. Many of us have come to love ourselves as wounds, as the painful stories that have happened to us. And we haven't stepped back and said, wait a minute, here is spirit moving through these experiences as love. And it can be as uncomfortable as we want. We can have we can have any response we need to have to move through there. But we are more than that. And he said, of course, we don't actually love the pain or the sorrow that came to us. Our sorrows are very real, and they leave us weary and hurt. But when we give so much time and attention to the process of healing, when we fall in love with a feeling of being healed, then sooner or later we will need to find newer, more painful things to be healed from. And so this idea of what do I love? I get to look at how I can love the wholeness that I am as a part of a movement of spirit, of healing and holding and remembering the truth out there. But begin to know that what I love as a center of my being is wholeness. And from that place, I find something more. He said, if we look for pathology, we will find pathology. And with the exuberant proliferation of new psychologies, therapies, treatment centers, and healing strategies, we've made it easier to fall in love with our own healing. Please know we're all on a path of healing. But I just want to ask us to look. Our healing is very important, but it's not who we are. And when we can go to that place of wholeness, then we can say, where's my peace of mind in the midst of this? Where's the center that I am? And we can move through the times of great change. And we're not ever going back to the way it was, because humanity is being changed at depth. There's been an awakening. And I don't think most of us want to really go back to the way it was, because it includes inequality. It includes marginalized people. It includes things that I know we don't believe in, even though we didn't know how to shift it. So instead, Buddha says all we are is a result of what we have thought. And we get to shift into a larger way of thinking and knowing and doing. And to say what I love is transforming to larger places of wholeness, that which we are. What I'm willing to do and open to and have an ability to understand is the wholeness that we are, that life gives us. Rumi says, whatever you wish to marry, go absorb yourself in that beloved. Assume its shape and qualities. If you wish for the light, prepare yourself to receive it. If you wish to be far from God, nourish your egoism and drive yourself away. If you wish to find a way out of this ruined prison, don't turn your head away from the beloved, but bow in worship and draw near. What would happen if we had the courage to step into this, saying, I am a whole infinite creation of spirit. These things out here, they happened along my journey. They came to support the wholeness that I am, knowing an even larger understanding of itself. I am the universe becoming aware of itself as me at this point in consciousness, and I choose to step forward in the knowing that I know that absolute peace lives as me now. Peace in an understanding that turmoil out there does not mean that I live as turmoil here. Or I experience it in this moment, but it's not the truth of who I am. And I don't believe that it's the truth of who humanity is. But it is an invitation to create something larger. So can we choose to marry our wholeness? Choose to marry the truth of our being, not to cover up or bypass what is ours to do, but instead to find a peace that passes all understanding. And this was used by Paul in Philippians, and they were talking about this idea that there is a peace for the child of God, the being of God, that passes all understanding and holds our heart and our being. This was a teaching that Jesus had shared, and it's a wisdom teaching on our planet. When we open and set our eyes on the wholeness and the life and the movement of spirit that's happening and have a larger vision, then we can see what's happening in our lives as a gift of movement, as an invitation. Wayne Muller goes on to say, when we love deeply, at times an inexplicable sadness arises within our love. You know, when we find what we love, a lot of times what we've lost comes up. And what do we do with that? Right now, there's a lot of people saying, I've lost these things, and that's okay. What if that love was whole with the sadness? What if the sacred journey included life in all of its aspects? What if living this journey included those ups and downs? And they weren't bad over here, or this one's good because we got what we wanted. Instead, it's life in all of its beauty and all of its fullness. It's moving us along an expansion of humanity. And we get to say, yes, here I am. And to me, the peace, for me, that passes all understanding is saying yes to the place I am in life. The places I don't understand, and I don't know how to go any further, but it's a willingness to move through it with all of the truth I know and don't know at the time. And it doesn't make me less than whole. So instead of our vision being, that's not whole, that's not whole, that's not whole, what would happen if we opened to something larger and we found a deeper truth? That life is whole as it is. And that this movement that we're being invited into, and I believe it is an awakening of humanity. I believe that these blinders are coming off, and it makes us uncomfortable, and it makes us look at things, and we can have meltdowns and say, no, can't I just go back to where it was? Can't I just travel? Can't I just do this? Can't I just do that? I get that. But what would happen if we said, where is my peace of mind? Oh, it's in being uncomfortable right now. I want a place of peace to be in the uncomfortableness of not knowing what's going to happen, but believing that I am a whole infinite creation of spirit that is here to be a part of the movement forward of creating a society that has a larger understanding of every being whole and worthy and vibrant and vital. And I have a larger understanding of what's happening in other people's worlds than I may have up till now. And it's messy and we're learning, and yet it opens us. And so, can I allow both of those to be present and find a peace that takes me along the stream of my life with that which is comfortable, that which is uncomfortable? I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm this. I'm spirit. Wherever you are is perfectly designed for where you're moving. You know, Wayne Muller says, the love that opens our heart will also open whatever sadness we have carried for a lifetime. And that's okay. It came to be healed. This can be confusing. And he goes on to say, if we touch love and find sadness, we reasonably conclude that this must not be love. What if that sadness can be our love also? But we're too quick to judge. Love is love, sadness is sadness, and both can be true at the same time. They do not cancel each other out. We are a rich mixture of sensations, emotions, and experiences. We span a breathtaking range from despair and hopelessness all the way to ecstasy and joy. So it is with love and sadness. But the journey of life is one that, founded in love, all the pieces that come up that need to be explored, they're there to support the transformation that we desire to see. They're there to move us forward. And so if you haven't gone into your heart lately, I would invite you to do that. Pema Chodron, in her famous saying, nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. We're learning individually. We're learning as humanity, and it's inviting us. Have you ever felt like someone or something was holding your well-being hostage? It may be a belief that you're not enough, or that you're not worthy, or that life doesn't support you, or that this president doesn't support you, or that what's happening out there doesn't support you. What would happen if we shifted that thinking into a base idea that we're here as part of the changing of society and humanity, and that who we are is more than all that's going on around us, and we're here to effect change, not to get lost in the wounds and the anger and the talking about what's wrong. Instead, to be that change, to begin to move forward, to begin to find something larger. You know, I had to laugh. One of the exercises for this week and in this book is to simplify your life and then find out where the peace is within it. We've already had that exercise given to us. Our lives were simplified, and everything broke loose. It allowed things to come up the way blacks have been treated in this country. In the last week, what I'm seeing happening in Portland to those that are black is difficult to see and to go through. Whether it's a letter that's sent to a black businesswoman that threatens her and her daughter, or which, by the way, there were 2 other letters sent at that same time by that same person. Or it is a man in a park who's chased by people with bats. These are things that are tough to see. So then I get to say, who am I? What do I love? Who am I within this? What can I learn? How can I expand? And then how can I step forward to be a part of that changing of humanity? How can I hold something long enough that it doesn't push me down into nothingness? Or if I go down into not being able to function, I find the resilience and the part of me that says, yes, here I am, Spirit. I move forward. I move forth from this. James Baldwin, as he spoke of being black in America, once said, "I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hates so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain." Many of us haven't had a place for that pain that can be in the midst of our peace. And my desire is that we find a peace that passes all understanding, from an inner knowing that we're held in the arms of Spirit. We're held in the consciousness of Spirit. We're held in this light of the universe. And our walking through is one of holiness. Everything is holy now. There is an order that is larger than we know. Who we are is something more. And we're all a part of an awakening. So we're not less than going through life as less than, finding a world that's less than. If that's been your truth and that's been your focus, Wayne Muller says that becomes what you love. And my desire for every one of us is to know what's precious and what's true, is the infinite presence of this quantum field that we are, that we live in, and the movement that is happening in humanity to find a larger picture. Father Richard Rohr, the Franciscan priest, he puts out his daily letter, and on July 10th, he had Dr. Barbara Holmes share one, and she points out the interwoven nature of love of God, love of self, love of neighbor, and that we can't learn and move through life without engaging all three of these. And for a while, society was very focused on love of self and often love of family, but it didn't go any further into humanity. And she said, The practice I'm focusing on is self-love and love of neighbor. We tend to not be very good at either one, but during this time of isolation, we have equal opportunities to rest, to heal, to love, to be loved. For me, a spiritual practice that matters includes social renewal. Instead of blaming others about the state of our union, instead of blaming one political party or another, we actually can reflect on our own complicity and supportive systems that abandoned the poor, warehoused our children in failing schools, and failed to provide adequate health care even under normal circumstances. As a spiritual practice, we can wake up to the possibility of building a new order. We can be a part of that. We can improvise those possibilities, try them out in the creative microcosm of a shared public life, realizing that our way of life before the pandemic wasn't perfect. Just that realization and saying, I'd like to find something higher, is so important. It could be improved so that all members of the society thrive. That could be our intention. And when we set an intention to live from that place, not as angry at what's out there this way and this way and this way, of who's to blame, but instead set a clear intention, and we begin aligning behind that intention, we find something so much more. We know that COVID is attacking and being found more in communities of color, those that are there's chronic health problems, there's due to poverty, those that don't have the resources. We know those different things. But what would happen if we changed our social contract? What would happen if we went to a larger place where when we said the divine in every being, we meant every being, and we acknowledge the wholeness? It's tough, but what if we spent this time opening our consciousness to a larger society? We don't have to have the answers of what it looks like. But I would invite you to look at the idea of love your neighbor as you love yourself, to include a larger neighborhood than it has up until now, to include a larger picture. Rumi said, if everything around you seems dark, you may be the light. What if we just have the courage to not give up our seat on the bus like Rosa Parks did. To not give it up wasn't a big place in consciousness until somebody had the courage to do it. What if we expand the consciousness and we make a new social contract in our hearts? I am whole and divine. You are whole and divine. Everyone on this planet, everyone in this country. And I choose to hold an idea. So when I say, may all beings know love and peace, it begins to be a woven, interwoven part of myself and my wholeness. It begins to be the way that I understand humanity. And the peace with which I move through the changes that are happening becomes the inner peace of knowing that we've made a new contract with society, that we've made a larger understanding. So I would invite you this week to continue the question, where is my peace? What do I love? Where is my peace of mind? And to choose a larger understanding. I am not my wounds. I am a journey of spirit, whole, infinite, and complete. This I let go of, this I continue to work on, and this idea I hold for a new contract in society, that we know our wholeness, that we stand for that wholeness, and that we live from that place of wholeness. Thank you. And I invite you to have a love-filled week.
Yeah, people get ready. There's a train that's coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to keep those diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, just get on board. Well, people get ready for the train to Jordan. We're picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, yeah, so open the doors and board them. There's room for all, yeah, yeah. There's room on this train for all who would join us, loving all humanity. You get on board, rise up together. Love, love, love is what joins us here. I'll take your hand, just get on board. Whoa, whoa, so people get ready for this train that's coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. You need faith, build your faith. Hear the diesels humming, don't need no ticket, just say thank you, I'm on board, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. I'm ready, ready. I am ready. Oh, oh, oh.
And I just invite you to be ready for the journey of life and the peace that is found within it. Thank you for our wonderful music. Thank you to Andy and Mark for the live streaming and the photography, and Leah Rose in the back for the sound. We are so blessed as we hold this space of knowing. I invite you to be a part of the giving here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. It's such a great opportunity to know that these ideas, these larger ideas, move in and through and as us now. At Unity of Portland, if you'd like to be a part of our push pay, and one of the ways you can do that is to get onto the regular giving, to be a part of that weekly or bi-weekly giving. It's such an opportunity, whether you're able to tune in or not, to be a part of this movement of spirit. And you can do it on PushPay. You just simply text 77977 to that number, Unity of Portland, all one word, all lowercase, and it'll direct you from there. So we invite you to be a part as you hold this gift in consciousness of knowing that divine love as you blesses and multiplies all that you are, all that you give, all that you receive, all that moves in and through your consciousness now, and you are blessed and you are a blessing. We hold this, we know this, we live this as you now. And we are so blessed, and we say, thank you, God. And I want to just thank you for being a part in this community, for knowing these ideas, and to hold it for every being in this community, everyone whose name is in our prayer box. We continue to hold these beings in light, in love. We have chaplains who are praying with you now and pray with everyone on our list every day. And I just invite you to be a part of this movement of spirit. We're going to close with our prayer, our unity prayer. You can join us. There's an invitation in the Facebook feed, I know, and in the feed of what you're watching for the connection hour. That'll start in about 5 minutes. And then at the end of this, I will do our announcements. So I just want to say that the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. We know that for every one of us in this circle of consciousness, every one of us on this planet. And so it is. Amen. Ah, what a blessing. You know, the Dalai Lama spoke of Buddha and Jesus as examples of contentment, tolerance, and serving others without any other motivation. And he said their inner strength was tremendous, limitless, but the external appearance was that of contentment with a simple way of life. Right now, that's some of the place we get to go and we get to learn as we go through this journey of enjoying and feeling blessed by the life that we have and that we live right now. Our White Fragility book study group starts tomorrow, Monday evening, 6 to 8 p.m. It's done on a love offering basis. If you do not have the book White Fragility, we have a free copy here for you. Please just contact the office at administrator@unityofportland.org, and we would be happy to get you a copy of it. And again, it'll be on a love offering basis, and we'll look forward to having you in that class or reading it on your own. Our spring community outreach has been a wonderful success. Thank you to all of you who have made it a part of your summer and your journey to bring in so many non-perishable items. We're going to do it this week and next week. So Tuesday and Wednesday from 12 to 4 is the drop-off time. Again, these go to the transitional school for youth experiencing houselessness. They do 60 boxes, and that'll be ending next week. So we are grateful for you being a part of it. If you have children or teens at home, please email or call Barbara for information on our Sunday programs for youth. You can find information on our website at unityofportland.org, or you can email her at youthed@unityofportland.org. And we just thank you for being a part of this ministry, of this movement of spirit. We'll continue on with our 7-week program. I want to thank the 5 small group leaders who have been supporting those who are in the small groups, and we will have an opportunity for small groups again soon. So have a love-filled week. We love you. We bless you. We know the truth of who you are, and that light shines as you now. Thank you.